Hi everybody, this is Lorena with Synergy Behavior Solutions. Right now I just want to say it is like a gorgeous day, and but also it sounds like there's been a lot of like airplanes flying over me the last few minutes, so if there's a weird sound I might just freeze and wait until it's gone and then continue talking. I hope you like my shirt, new bird shirt, and have today with me my buddy Summer Dog. He is just working for some treats in the grass today, hanging out with me while the squirrels run around. Recalling off squirrels is a nice skill that he has, though he is still very excited by them, and I'm okay with that. So today I wanted to talk about the influx of folks and talk to the influx of folks who have adopted dogs or gotten puppies during this very new and weird to navigate world of COVID and quarantine. So lots and lots of folks are working from home for the first time and are realizing that this may be a great time to get that dog that they had been wanting to get. And I also, like, that's amazing. There were shelters that in the first couple months after COVID were like empty because so many people were fostering and adopting dogs, and I love that. And also, I think that I want to address some of the really common issues that come up when that happens and things that people don't expect. And one of the things that, an unfortunate side effect of that happening is that we at Synergy, for example, and other trainers I know, have started to see a very large influx of those same people seeking behavior help for these animals that they've adopted. And often it is due to people who maybe just like didn't know some of the basics in terms of how they could have set their dog up for success from the beginning, or even understanding sort of like what to expect after you adopt, especially an older dog. I'm not going to go off on a tangent about puppies because that is a separate kind of conversation. Ideally, if you got a puppy, you know that there's lots of training and work ahead of you for at least the next year, if not like 2 years of life as the dog matures. If you have recently gotten a puppy and you would love to know more about raising a puppy during COVID, we actually have an on-demand webinar that has been recorded and you can watch for like $15 on our website. I actually recorded right at the beginning of COVID a webinar called Puppies in a Time of COVID, specifically for that conversation. So if you did get a puppy or you know someone who did, please feel free to go watch that. It's like an hour, and I think that, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I think it has a lot of excellent information. So regardless of whether your dog is a puppy or an adult, I want to talk a little bit about what to think about when you bring a dog home. So the first thing that we need to think about is the fact that while you and your family, or the people that you live with, or even just, you know, you on your own, you might have been thinking or talking about and okay, trying again. I am in my house now. Maybe my connection issues will be less severe. The dog that you adopted didn't necessarily know that it was going to be entering a new home. And so one of the things to think about is how much of a shock that is for the dog's experience. And so when we get a new dog, we are taking it from a life in a shelter potentially, or a foster home, which on its own, I'll put my dog in her crate because she is having a hard time. And which could have been a stressful experience on its own. Shelters are stressful for dogs to live in. Even the lovely ones who are trying their absolute best to de-stress, it's just a stressful environment. And so you have a dog who has probably been experiencing chronic stress for a while that you are now bringing into your home, which is also a brand new environment in which the dog is supposed to settle, and the dog has no idea that this is their forever home. They don't know you. They could potentially have experienced trauma in their background. This could be a dog that already had some struggles and some abandonment. Could have been a dog that has been attacked by other dogs. You have no idea maybe what happened in your dog's past. And this is one of the reasons that adoption is like such a magical experience, because we get to give these dogs a second, third, or sometimes seventh chance at a forever home. But having said that, there is kind of this like social narrative that I think, while it's very sweet and lovely, I think ultimately it's damaging. And that is this notion that dogs that are in shelters that get adopted are grateful or know that they're going home forever. And that's not the case. Your dog has no idea when it's on the drive home that that's what's happening. And really, this is just another scary experience in that dog's life. So I really want to stress that while you have done an incredible thing by adopting this dog, it doesn't know that. The dog is just governed by its dog-like principles of behavior, which most of the time are based in making sure that its needs are met, and potentially it has experienced a long period of time where its needs, especially its needs for emotional and physical safety, have not been met. So there is this trope, there is this like phrase that I've been trying to find out where it came from originally, but pretty much every trainer kind of repeats it, I think, and a lot of behaviorists, and I think that a lot of shelters should probably be putting this information out there, and I know a lot of them are. And the phrase is 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. So 3 days is the amount of time that it takes your dog to decompress, and I would argue that it takes a lot more time than that. So there have been studies that show that it takes at least 72 hours, for a dog's cortisol levels and stress hormones to even begin to return to normal after a stressful event. Do you think that coming home from the shelter to a brand new home, potentially a home with other dogs, other pets, kids, other people, new environment, new smells, new sounds, do you think that is stressful for the dog? Yes, even if it is good stress. Eustress and distress, positive and negative stress, both cause the same influx of hormones in our bodies. So we have a dog who is overflowing with all of these emotions and stress, and when we are chronically stressed or in a trauma situation, we do not make good choices. We are not thinking in the way that we normally would, and we often end up doing things that maybe we wouldn't if we were properly calm and rested. So this is specifically directed to folks that I have seen who adopt a dog and then immediately take them to the dog park, or immediately walk them around the neighborhood, or invite their entire friend group and family to come and meet the dog. They take the dog to a family cookout. They introduce them to all their friends' dogs. They take them, I've met somebody who took their dog to a music festival the day after they adopted this dog. That is an incredibly stressful situation to put your dog in, and even though you immediately want that dog to be a part of your life, it's really important to think about what your dog is experiencing, and long term, what you would like to see from that animal and as a part of your family needs to be introduced slowly. So 3 days is basically you bring your dog home. Don't take it for a walk. Don't introduce people to it. Don't even introduce your other resident dogs at that point. It is decompression time. It is no training. It is just calm relationship building, all at the dog's pace and the dog's speed, trying to instill a little bit of a routine and make sure that the dog feels safe. So if you've ever taken like AP psychology in high school, you know about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Still very applicable. There's been a lot of changes to them. Super interesting if you feel like geeking out on it, but you can Google it. But mostly we have to think about if an animal doesn't feel safe, even having its basic needs met, food, water, shelter, there's no learning that's going to happen. And relationship building is all about learning. So please don't take your brand new dog to the dog park. Please don't take them on a 12-mile hike. Don't send them to doggy daycare. Just be home. Just quiet and calm. Lots of long-term chews. Maybe have your dog eat some of their food from your hands if they're comfortable with that. Explore your yard together and just rest. So there's that piece, 3 days. The next is 3 weeks. So 3 weeks is about the amount of time that it takes for the dog to sort of begin to settle in. So they're like, okay, I kind of picked up on the routine here. I know that these people are important. They're the ones who deliver my food and give me all the lovely things that I enjoy. And I'm starting to think that maybe this is like where I'm gonna stay. So that's around the time that I might start introducing some training games, depending on the level of the dog's behavior. If they seem pretty like outgoing and confident, that might be a time when I am considering introducing some friends or new people that are really calm and dog savvy to the dog's world. And that's around the time that you can start to maybe start to explore your neighborhood a little bit. I would probably wait at least 3 weeks before I took a brand new adopted dog out on a walk. And it would be a short, calm walk. It would not be a rave at the dog park. So 3 weeks in, and then 3 months. So 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. 3 months is around the time that your dog is now like your dog. So a beautiful thing happens here where now you start to notice this special relationship that you've built with this animal. You start to understand its personality. It understands you better. You have a routine. The dog is like, I live here now. This is my home. That's lovely. The other side of that coin is that 3 months is around the time even if you have done all of these things right, 3 months is around the time that you will start to see some challenging behaviors arise. So a lot of times this happens because the dog that was bomb-proof at the shelter was actually a dog that was kind of shut down and just internalizing a lot of their stress. And so then the dog that seems bomb-proof and then starts to feel more safe is now suddenly starting to exhibit and express those challenging or stressful feelings that it was having. So this is often when we as trainers start to see newly adopted dogs and start to work with them, because people seem to think that they've done something wrong, or that their dog has now become aggressive towards strangers, or their dog now started to lunge and bark at other dogs. Now their dog is getting into fights at the dog park, whereas before they seemed fine. And that's because you literally just met this dog. You just met it. You don't know that much about it yet. And 3 months, if you think about it in terms of a friendship with a human, is like a pretty small amount of time. So 3 months is around the time that you really are starting to get into, like, who is this creature that you have brought into your world? And how are we going to now start to navigate, the honeymoon period is over, and now we have an animal that is reacting to its environment and sometimes is going to struggle. So I encourage you to take it really, really slow. I encourage you to think about long-term, what is your vision, your hopes for this creature in terms of its long-term relationship with you, and how can we build a solid foundation of safety and trust for this animal who maybe has a history or a past that we don't know anything about, and how can we then start to broaden its world after we built that solid foundation to be able to do all of the lovely things we want to do with that dog. I live in the Portland area, and often, people get dogs here and really expect a lot out of them. We expect them to be able to go kayaking and hiking and camping and hanging out with kids and going to the cookouts. People love doggy daycare here. There's tons of dog parks. These are all really high expectations for dogs. And if you plan to have a dog that can do and enjoy those things with you, then you need to start small. So 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, take your time and let the dog determine if there's been enough time. And typically I would say that for the average brand new rescue dog that is often, adolescence is often when people tend to adopt dogs, I would say 3 days is not enough. Decompression time should go for longer, and let your dog's behavior guide that. If you would like more information about this, Patricia McConnell, really celebrated lovely dog behaviorist, wrote a best-selling short little booklet called Love Has No Age Limit, welcoming an adopted dog into your home or something like that. I highly recommend it. It's super cheap. You can buy it directly from our website. She sold like over 50,000 copies or something. Love Has No Age Limit. So check it out. And that's even if you're adopting a dog that's 6 months, 7 months, still really helpful information. And also, if you have adopted a dog during COVID and you're starting to struggle with its behavior, or you're confused about where to go from here as the 3 or 6 month mark hits and you started to notice some behaviors that maybe aren't going to jive with the vision that you had for your dog, feel free to reach out to us at Synergy. We do virtual consults, behavioral health assessments, and we also do virtual training. So we can currently take people in other states that are not Oregon, and we'd love to work with you and make sure that the dog can stay in your home and be the dog that you wanted it to be. We also offer online classes and webinars addressing a lot of these topics, and would love to see you there. If you have any questions or comments, or just want to share your lovely new adopted dog and its cute face, please drop them in the comments, and I'd love to hear any of your all's thoughts on this. Have a great day.